Hey there, Jordan Sheridan, not live on what are we on? Thursday, April 4th, 2019. The world goes on and America stays corrupt. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. I don't think I've slept more than 3 hours nightly this week. So hopefully we'll have some fun and hopefully I'll be literate because I'm a little tired. I don't want to alarm you. But I might be out for a few days next week. Not definite, but I might be getting a follow-up back surgery. I have not been complaining, but unfortunately, after surgery last year, my back has still been pretty stiff, and I've still had pain going down my leg, and my foot has been numb. So I just got an MRI, which showed basically I still have like a disc fragment kind of stuck, and my disc is kind of collapsing downward. So it's a minor procedure, but still waiting for confirmation on what day it would be next week. But I'll be fine, but just might be out a few days. So I'll keep you posted on that. A lot of things to talk about today, and we are also going to be the worldwide release of our trailer for Flint. Flint, Status Quo's first ever documentary, will be out April 23rd for the world to view. It'll be out a couple days before that just for members. Status Quo members are going to get it early. In addition to Status Quo members getting it early, I want to be clear, Flint residents will also get it early, and Status Quo members and Flint residents will get it early and free. So we'll show you that trailer that Ty did such a great job on in a little bit. Hopefully, if you're on the fence, this trailer will get you excited and will make you want to become a member. Again, you could become a Status Quo member at statusquo.com/join for as low as $5 to $10 a month. So what are you doing? Let's go. Members will have it free. Flint residents will have it free. For everybody else, we'll be releasing it. Jenn has more of the details, but there will be a small fee to rent it, and then a little more if you want to buy it, because we got to make some money to grow this company. So definitely become a member if you want it early and free. But everybody will see the trailer in a little bit. Remember, we are banned from live streaming until the end of May. So I am recording this a little earlier in the day, but we're in the live chat with you, even though it's recorded, answering your questions, comments, concerns. This is a super chat. So if you're feeling super, let us know. We're also fundraising specifically for our Flint documentary because Ty, Jenn, and I are off back to Flint. Not just to release a documentary at the end of this month, but April 25th, unfortunately, is the 5-year anniversary. 5-year anniversary of the Flint water crisis. So we will be there to cover that. The water is still very, very suspect, which I think you're going to see once you watch our documentary. So you have a checklist. I want you right now, put your phones down. Well, if you're watching on your phone, don't put it down. Put everything away. Focus. I need you to smash the like button. I need you to smash that like button. Some of you say, can I just like it without smashing? Do whatever you want. Just press that like button. It's that thumbs up right under my ugly face. I appreciate it. Even if you don't like me, just press the like button. More people that press the like button, however YouTube's algorithm works, for whatever reason, the more likes means the more people that see this video. Become a Status Quo member, which I just talked about. I'll show you the trailer a little bit. We'll talk about membership then too. Follow us at Status Quo on the Twitter, at Jordan Sheridan. I don't know, a lot of you, I don't think have been executing on this, so tisk tisk. Subscribe to our podcast. That's another way we're going to grow a revenue source that we desperately want. So the more people that go to our podcast, that's the link right there. We'll put the link also in the live chat. The more people that go to our podcast and rate it 5 stars, as well as leave a review, the higher it goes up on iTunes. Basically, our podcast Are these streams turned into a podcast as well as my interviews turned into podcasts? So definitely subscribe there. And if you haven't, go to statuscoup.com, join our email list, statuscoup.com, and you'll get a little box to enter your email. We will not inundate you with annoying emails. We'll send you emails with news, our schedule, where we're going, what we're doing, all those good things. So, I was out yesterday due to my back and some other things, and Jenn did a great job. She was talking about how the Washington Post apparently is responding to Bernie, I would say, being the front runner by trying to equate him with Trump. So Jenn covered that. Now I think the corporate media, it's their biggest nightmare. I think the corporate media is starting to realize, this guy might win the nomination. This guy might become president. And I think there is a collective, like, what do we do? I'd like to drop some curse words to further illustrate the point, but try not to get demonetized. If you'd like me to curse, leave some super chats and I'll do it next time. So, Bernie Sanders, by every metric, is winning. He is the front runner. And I could tell you, and I'm going to show you another poll, that, again, are oversampling older people, undersampling young people to say, oh, look, Joe Biden is up double digits. No. Unless they actually tell you and tell us how many older people are they sampling versus how many younger people, I don't believe what they're saying, because I think they're oversampling older people. No offense to my older viewers. There's plenty of people out there that are older and love them some Bernie and feeling the burn. However, by the numbers, Bernie Sanders is a huge advantage among millennials and young people. So if they're not going to give us the information on how many young people are you polling, if you're polling over 1,000 people, are you polling 400, 500 young people, or are you polling 40 or 50 young people? Kind of important to know for the context whether we could take these polls seriously. And so far, CNN has not responded to my request for comment on their polling methodology. Neither has Quinnipiac, neither has Emerson, and I just reached out to Morning Consult today. Still waiting. Not holding my breath. But when you look at the fundraising numbers, which we went over the other day, when you look at the donations, when you look at the volunteers, over 1 million volunteers now let's look at Bernie Sanders, along with Ro Khanna, along with Senator Chris Murphy. Give credit to extremist Republican Senator Mike Lee. Just successfully got the first ever use of the War Powers Act in America to not only pass the Senate, but also pass the House of Representatives. This was spearheaded by Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna's leadership. Congress has given final approval on a resolution to end American military assistance for Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen in an unprecedented attempt to curtail the president's power to go to a war and sweeping rebuke to Donald Trump's foreign policy. The House voted 247 to 175 to send the resolution to the president's desk, where it is likely to be met with a veto. 16 Republicans broke ranks and joined Democrats in the effort. The Senate passed the resolution last month, with 7 Republicans voting in favor of it. The resolution's passage sets up another confrontation between Congress and Trump, who has already threatened to veto it. The White House has said the resolution raises serious constitutional concerns. Of course, that's BS. The vote marks the first time Congress has invoked the 1973 War Powers Act to curb the executive's power to take the country into a conflict without congressional approval. It is aimed at ending U.S. involvement in the long-running Yemen conflict. Under intense public and congressional pressure, the Pentagon stopped providing aerial refueling in November for Saudi warplanes on Yemen's sorties. Benjamin Friedman, policy director for the Defense Priorities think tank, said that most of the remaining U.S. involvement in the conflict was in the providing intelligence support for the coalition. Quote, it'll be a mix of intelligence, including signal intercepts, overheard surveillance from satellites and aircraft, including drones, Friedman said. Exactly just how dependent the Saudis and UAE are on the U.S. is hard to say. The war in Yemen, which has just entered its 5th year, is estimated to have killed more than 60,000 people and left millions on the brink of starvation. creating what the UN called the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Let's hear Bernie Sanders on this. Sorry, this is from his YouTube channel. The video and audio is not the greatest, but this is the best I could find you. Here we go.
Who understood the importance of what we're doing. Just want to make a few points. What we're seeing now in Yemen is an unparalleled humanitarian disaster. Some 85,000 children have already starved to death as a result of the Saudi-led war. And if we do not act decisively in helping them to rebuild their economy, provide them with humanitarian aid, provide food, not bombs, the situation could become even worse, as Rose said. Second point of importance is the vote in the Senate and in the House makes it clear that the United States will not continue to follow the despotic, anti-democratic leadership coming out of Saudi Arabia. They have their aggressive foreign policy, their aggressive military policy. I think it's a bad idea, but at the very least, the United States should not be led into a war by a despotic, undemocratic, murderous regime. Third point, which applies not only to Yemen, but to the future. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is pretty clear. It is the United States Congress, not the President, who has responsibilities in terms of lawmaking. But tragically, for many years, under Democratic presidents, under Republican presidents, the Congress has abdicated its responsibility. Today, the Congress says we are taking that responsibility back, not just for Yemen, but in the future as well. And the fourth point that I want to make is President Trump has said, appropriately enough, that he wants the United States to get out of endless wars. Well, this war in Yemen has gone on long enough. And if the president wants to keep faith with what he has talked about, I hope very much that he will sign this historic legislation and work with us to make sure that the United States does not continue to be involved in endless and destructive wars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry if that video quality was not the best. I got it from his page. So, a few things. Number one, let's forget politics for a second. Let's forget Bernie Sanders for a second. And remember, smash that like button. The more people that press that like button, it's that thumbs up, the more people that will see this not live stream. The more people that see this not live stream, the more views we get. The more views we get, the more subscribers we get. The more views and subscribers we get, the more revenue we get. The more revenue we get, the more we could go out into the field and take on the oligarchy. Who's with me? Press the like button. Putting aside politics and 2020 and Bernie and all that, it says something about our country and our media that there's such a cognitive dissonance. The media spends all their time, creating this propaganda that someone like Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is an Assad toady and an Assad apologist and pox on her house. By the way, as of yesterday or 2 days ago, I think she was like 5,000 donors away from making the debate stage. I think she was at 57,000. If I was, I might be 1,000 wrong. It could have been 57,000 or 58,000. I don't remember, but a lot closer to 65,000, which she needs 65,000 donations to get to 65,000 donors to get to the debate. So she is a toady, and she's an apologist, and she should be ostracized and banished from media and cocktail parties and these, She should not be taken as a serious candidate. Yet, for many years, and by the way, I do not even think this would have passed, this Yemen war resolution would have passed if not for the tragic execution, barbarism, beheading of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Because then suddenly Congress and the media elite and the punditariat class, I now call it the punditariat, that's when they suddenly We're like, oh, this guy, Mohammed bin Salman, he's a brutal dictator, this one. And look what they're doing. And now we could talk about Yemen. I'm sorry that Khashoggi was executed. It's terrible. I mean, any human, non-crazy person would say it's terrible. But why did it take that to start talking about genocide in Yemen and the United States' role? Because that's really what it took. So I just want to make the point that Saudi Arabia would not have been able to butcher as many children and women and innocents in Yemen without the United States, starting with you, President Barack Obama. It's not just Trump. This started under Barack Obama. Okay? And I didn't hear Nancy Pelosi. I didn't hear Chuck Schumer telling him no on this. Obviously, we didn't hear the Republican Party saying anything. So this is a national disgrace. We have blood on our hands, just like we have blood on our hands in Libya. I mean, Iraq, Afghanistan, we should have been out. Somalia, Pakistan. I could go on. So I am glad this has passed the House and the Senate. And you know what? If Trump vetoes it, good. Because then we have a debate. Because the media will only cover pertinent issues if it involves Donald Trump, because that's their cash cow. So let him veto it. And then an actual leader, Bernie Sanders, can be covered the way he should be covered, which is as the front runner of the presidential candidate campaign on the Democratic side, and as a leader. They say, what has Bernie done? Oh, he's only just spearheaded and led the effort to, for the first time in American history, have the War Powers Act implemented. But what has he done? He's only forced, this degenerate Amazon CEO, which I have a story about that today, to raise the minimum wage for his workers. Same goes for Disney. He played a huge part in that. I have a feeling Walmart's close. I mean, the things Bernie Sanders has done, Kamala Harris hasn't done pip squeak. Beto O'Rourke, what has he done other than stood on a bar? Joe Biden, he's done a lot. Just like Hillary Clinton did a lot. A lot of bad stuff. I also, putting aside the 2020, although a lot of you follow Bernie, I want to say, I got to tell you something. Congressman Ro Khanna deserves a lot of credit because he did, not that Bernie didn't work hard behind the scenes to make this happen and make this pass the House and the Senate. But Ro Khanna has been working on this issue for many, many years. He has been loud and active without the big following that Bernie Sanders has. It was a labor of passion and humanity for Ro Khanna. I'm not saying it wasn't for Bernie, but Ro Khanna was not getting cheered the whole time for this. And I got to tell you, I mean, if you ask me, my first choice for vice president for Bernie Sanders, if he wins the nomination, is Nina Turner. But I do think Ro Khanna has put himself into that discussion with his leadership on the Yemen issue and many other strong progressive positions. I don't know what you think, but that's what I think. So, from Yemen, hopefully, Trump's not gonna pass this. He's not gonna sign this. And by the way, we're still talking about Russia. They're still hyperventilating about Russia. But why do you think he won't sign it? This is what they should have been covering and investigating the whole time. He's not gonna sign it because he has business interests with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. But because the media was so focused on creating a Cold War reenactment, they only want to focus on Russia. But it's out in plain sight. He's not gonna sign this bill because he has business interests in Saudi Arabia and he does not want to cut the cord or stop supporting Saudi Arabia in their effort to basically butcher innocent Yemenis into perpetuity. Because if the United States doesn't get out of this, it's going to continue. Year 5 will go to year 6 and onward. But it now looks, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, it now looks like the corporate media is starting to wake up a little bit. Only took them, 2 years. Here's Jake Tapper yesterday.
John, I think that it's fair to say Senator Bernie Sanders, when it comes to polls, among the declared candidates, when it comes to polls, when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to the number of contributors, when it comes to the fact that his dollar amounts, the average contribution is so small, without question, I think Bernie Sanders is a front runner, don't you think? Of declared candidates.
That's the key caveat that you're making, right? Yes, among declared candidates, you've got to say that's true for Bernie, but he benefits from a very broad field. Once you get Biden in that, of course, all of a sudden that top tier, Biden bests Bernie Sanders in most polls. Look, I think Bernie's got a very intense, devoted cadre. He shaped the direction of the party, and in a very wide primary, could his 20-25% of hardcore supporters be enough? Maybe. But the second Biden gets in the race, that statement's no longer operative. And I do think we all know what this is about. These are brushback pitches against Biden. Can he handle a leftward drifting party? Not his first rodeo. Assuming he can, that statement's no longer operative.
We should point out that there's a lot of talk online right now, especially among Sanders supporters, about a column by the Washington Post's Dana Milbank, who writes that Bernie is the Trump of the Democratic Party. Fundraising and polls show that many Democrats think that the best answer to an angry old white guy with crazy hair, New York accent, and flair for demagoguery is, well, another angry old white guy with crazy hair, New York accent, and flair for demagoguery. It's not difficult to picture a scenario in which Bernie captures a Democratic presidential nomination with the same formula that worked for Trump with Republicans in 2016. Yeah. Forgetting for a second the hair and the New York accent and all that stuff, it is actually easy to look at the race and say, you know what? Lots of candidates, a guy with a very strong following and 30% of the vote or so, like Trump did in 2016, that Bernie could do that in 2020.
Yes,
and win the nomination.
Look, people underestimated Bernie Sanders the entire time that he was running against Hillary Clinton last time. The guy got 47% of the vote against the entire Clinton-Obama machine in a year that Hillary Clinton should have had a romp. And he never stopped running for president. He just changed it to Medicare for all. I've been with Bernie, in states and in places. He's getting 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people to come out to hear him give the same speech they've heard a million times, 9 months ago, 12 months ago, 16 months ago. He never stopped running for president. He has the biggest social media operation. He's got a bigger social media operation than some people who do it professionally. You've got corporate, we call it now this and that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, people continue to underestimate the insurgency in our own party.
That's like the only thing they have in common. Can I just say?
Fair enough.
So there you have Jake Sleepy Eyes Tapper, because I've never seen him actually challenge anyone powerful on his program, but that's okay. I kid. I just play with you, Jake Tapper. Remember, press the like button if you haven't, right under my face. It's the thumbs up. Press that like button. We need more people to like, more people will see. So this is very interesting to me. You heard Jake Tapper make the point that Bernie's the front runner of declared candidates. I don't actually think that's correct. I think he's the front runner, period. I'm going to show you another poll that, conspicuously missing, is explaining just how many young people are you polling. Because all of these polls somehow are finding that Joe Biden is up by 10 points. Well, how many young people are you polling? Because if you are oversampling older people, yeah, he'll be up. In some cases 7 points, in some cases 10 points, he will be up by that many. But that's never discussed. These polls create a narrative, and then CNN says, well, Joe Biden is the front runner. No, I'll show you this poll. I'm not just saying this because I personally like Bernie. I'm saying this as somebody who wants all the information, who wants the numbers. I don't think that's a lot to ask. Hold on. So here's Morning Consult poll. And they say on a daily basis, Morning Consult interviews over 5,000 registered voters across the U.S., blah, 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 blah. So, the most recent poll, their methodology, right? They say on the Democratic primary, Our Democratic primary results are reported using 12,940 interviews with registered voters who indicate they may vote in the Democratic primary or caucus. For those who say they don't know or no opinion, they are asked to pick a candidate they are leaning towards, which are factored into the results. The margin of error for potential Democratic primary voters is +1, -1. Okay. So, Joe Biden. Changed from last week. He's at 33%, down -2. Bernie Sanders, 25%. Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke, 8%. Elizabeth Warren, 7%. All right, so you got Joe Biden up by 8 points. How do you get to that? Joe Biden in the early primary states. Joe Biden is up by 9 points. How do you get to that? I don't know. They don't tell you. Very favorability. Bernie Sanders, 33%. Joe Biden, 41%. Somewhat favorable. Bernie, 43%. Biden, 36%. Okay. But how are they getting to these numbers? Where are the age breakdowns? If you find it and I'm missing it, let me know. Net favorability, Joe Biden, 66. Bernie, 62. Biden down 3. Bernie up 5. Then they get into the Republican Party. Zero information on the ages of people they're polling. Now, this might sound like a boring topic to you. It's not, because this is one of the ways that narratives get framed. This is one of the ways that they subtly rig the primary, because it's the same thing that CNN did, including in their reporting in 2016, the superdelegates, lumping those in with the pledge delegates. Of course, that was intellectually dishonest. Superdelegates don't actually vote until the nomination, until the convention, so they should have been only showing pledge delegates. What they were doing by that is basically trying to seep into the public, zeitgeist. Oh, Bernie, it's already gone. He's too far gone. Hillary's clobbering him. Why even go vote? That's what they were doing. Well, these polls, and I'm not saying that the pollsters are knowingly being deceptive. I think they are subtly, because they're old school and they probably don't think it's that important to get an equal number of young people than older people. But in this context, it is, because you have a candidate that is unique in Bernie Sanders. Yes, there are definitely a big part of his supporter base that are older, even 50 plus. But this candidate crushes every other candidate, age 18 to 29, as well as, if you put it bigger picture, he's wins like 35 to 49. These are millennial voters and then whatever's above millennial, Gen Z, Gen X, I think. So if you're putting out poll after poll after poll that shows Biden up 10, Biden up 7, some have Biden up more than 10, don't you think you should offer the details of how many people age 18 to 29 or 18 to 29 and above 30? So some polls have it 18 to 29, some polls have it 18 to 34. So let's just say, how many people are you polling 18 to 34? How many people are you polling 35 to 49? I think the reason they don't disclose that, I think the reason Quinnipiac, CNN, Emerson, and Morning Consult has not gotten back to me is because they are underpolling young people to spin a narrative that Joe Biden is winning. Well, I'll say this. If they poll an equal amount of young people, it could be close. Joe Biden could be up 3-4 points. He could be up margin of error. I mean, he was the vice president to Obama. Don't get me started on Obama, but nationally, he's still fairly popular. But, I mean, 3 to 4 points, I wouldn't call that he's the front runner. If it is, he's up 3 to 4 points. What exactly is he doing right now? I mean, why such a prolonged wait? I was talking to Jenn, keep it real. I think Joe Biden and his people, they might be expecting some more women to come out. They might be expecting worse stories than just, getting into people's personal space. I have no evidence of that, to be clear. I'm not reporting anything. It's just my hypothesis. But they could be waiting this out because they would rather deal with it before he officially runs than after he launches. So don't think that as I report right now and as I speak and you comment, don't think they're not swatting away media outlets that are reaching out to them, because there's a lot of media outlets digging in and speaking with women that might have reached out to them. I know Jenn, right here at Status Coup, has reached out to one or two women, and we're trying to verify any claims, because obviously we want to be responsible. So, bottom line, I think Bernie's the front runner. I think Bernie's on fire, frankly, and I think the fact that he is the front runner and he is on fire, expect a lot more negative pieces in the Washington Post and the New York Times, and expect CNN, MSNBC to heat up, to rise up the temperature. They're not going to give the nomination to him. They are going to try and take it away. And I will be here every step of that way to expose it. Thank you. Now, if you haven't pressed that like button, press that like button. I am very, very excited. Before we get to the next story, I want to make the international premiere of our trailer for Flushing Flint. Flushing Flint is a documentary by Status Coup, more specifically Ty Bayless. He's been working feverishly, many overnights to get this done. Usually documentaries could take you a year or 2 years. He's basically doing this in 6 months. We wanted to get this out quickly, and we wanted to get it out in time for the 5-year anniversary of the Flint water crisis. April 25th is the 5-year mark. April 25th, 2014 is when they switched from the from Detroit's water system to the Flint River. If you're new to Status Coup, we do have new viewers coming in all the time. This documentary is actually going to show you the process and the reporting and the door knocking that went into that bombshell report we broke in November of last year. We broke a big story, Jenn and I, that the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality was improperly testing dozens of residents' home, their water samples. So the way you're supposed to take a water sample is to turn the water on, is not use your water for at least 6 hours. It's supposed to be totally stagnant. Then turn the water on, turn your tap on, and put the sample bottle in right away. Well, we found that in many homes, as many as 35, they were flushing. They were running people's water before testing, which when you let the water run, even for 30 seconds, you are possibly flushing out high qualities of lead that would have resulted in a high test. Why would they do that? Well, as Aaron Brockovich said in the story we broke, the only reason to do that is to produce false numbers. And they, with those numbers, ex-governor, now former governor Rick Snyder, declared 1 year ago Flint's water restored. Yeah. And with that declaration, they shut down the water pots. So because I've been there 13 times, and with Status Coup, we've been there 3 or 4 times since we launched this 1 year ago, we were starting to get some tips from a few residents that, the state environmental agency, officials came into the home, and they tested the water, and they would just casually be like, they let the water run for a little bit. And then at first I didn't even think anything of it. I didn't know that was improper. I didn't know that was against EPA regulations. It was only till I spoke with sources in Flint that I built up after so many trips that I realized, oh crap, they're manipulating the testing. They're cooking the data. So the documentary, obviously I'm biased because we're in it and it follows us. To me, I have not seen a documentary like this. I have not seen a documentary that actually shows like old school door knocking, old school journalism. And the story is not over. We are releasing this documentary, but the story is not over. We have met with high ranking officials from the state of Michigan over what we found. I don't want to get into any further than that because it's good. Let's put it that way. In February, we met with high-ranking officials, and they are following up on what we found. I'll leave it at that. So, this documentary is premiering for the whole world, April 23rd. We would have loved to make it free for everybody, but unfortunately, Status Coup is a business. We gotta make money. So it will be a small fee to rent it, and then you could also buy it for a higher fee. But if you're a Status Coup member, hint, hint, statuscoup.com/join. If you're a member, you're going to have it free, and you're going to get it earlier. We are premiering it for everyone on April 23rd, but we're going to be premiering it a little bit earlier for our members, and we're also going to be premiering it early and free for Flint residents. So if you're a Flint resident, we'll get you the details. You'll get that earlier than everybody else, and of course, free. So without further ado, here's the trailer. We'll talk right after.
I don't understand why you can't give us the latest testing data and what it shows for the water in Flint. I would think that the governor of Michigan would have those numbers at the top of his mind right now.
I can't get into full details yet, but I might have uncovered some major capital C level corruption here that might prove the numbers they've been using to declare the water safe here in Flint corrupt. Not true.
I'm going around the city checking homes that have been tested for the water.
They just showed up one day and said that they needed to do water testing.
Do you remember if they turned on the water, put the bottle in right away, or did they let it run?
They let it run for a minute.
Turn the water on, let it run for, like I said, like a minute.
Yeah, it was DEQ the first time.
There is no bathing and showering standards.
Turn it on, let it run, and then catch the ball full.
This right here, you're not gonna take my property for the stinking ass water.
So I was hoping I could ask you, because you were on the list for the State Sentinel. What do you think? You excited? I'm excited. I'm ready. What I love about that is, like, we made it short, okay? You got to make it short. Everybody online on social has the attention span of a 1-year-old. So, like, that is, like, literally, like, half a fraction of what we did. Like, again, I'm trying to be as humble as I can because it's not about us, but we knocked on, when it was all said and done, 450 doors. We spoke with 150 residents. It was 105 degrees some days. You're gonna see my leopard towel that was around my neck, walking up and down those blocks, knocking on doors in the heat of summer 2018. Thank you, Lori Chariton, my mama. I took her towel from home. She's a leopard woman. So the documentary, I mean, I hope I think it's totally, I don't want to say entertaining because it's such a terrible subject, but I think what it's going to show you is journalism actually can expose radically corrupt things. Not only could journalism expose radically corrupt things, but that exposure and exposing that could actually lead to change. I can't go into such detail with you because I just can't, but let's just say high-ranking government officials would not be meeting with us if what we showed them first didn't have teeth to it, if you know what I'm saying. If we didn't have the goods, they wouldn't have met with us. They wouldn't have followed up with us either. So we were able to do that door knocking because of you. Like, we're not asking you to become a Status Coup member just so we could earn a living and make, so I could eat and Jenn could eat and Ty could eat and whoever we're able to hire long term, because that's the goal. We need to grow our membership numbers. That is our main business model. Membership. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 a year. And Jenn just redid the membership page, so go check it out. It looks really great. Here you have the laptop with the corporate newspapers on top of it, us handing you the microphone, us out in the field. That is from this Flint documentary. And there is the nitty-gritty of what it takes to support us. We are currently 27 members. 27 members away from 300 members, which is awesome. You know, Bernie's $27. It's just, that's where we're at today. So we're 27 members away. So not only will you get this documentary first, not only will you get it free of charge, but by becoming a member, you're also going to get bonus content as a member. We're uploading new content as much as we can, exclusive for members. You're going to get behind the scenes content in the field. But most importantly, you're going to fund us on an ongoing basis to do exactly what we did in this report that we made into a documentary. All it takes to be a real journalist is, A, you have to not be afraid to do it, because it is risky what we do. But number two, you just got to have the will to do it. It's hard work to go knocking on doors. That's why corporate media doesn't do it. They're mostly lazy, both intellectually and physically. By the way, not tooting my own horn, but that door knocking came only a few weeks after I had back surgery last year, which possibly is why I have to have back surgery again, because I didn't do the physical therapy consistently enough, and I was starting a new company. So, darn on me. Try not to curse, because YouTube demonetizes us. Darn on me. But I want you to become a member so we could do more of that. I want you to become a member because not only do we need the money from it, but we need the support. Membership isn't only just about the money. It's about, we need your support to keep doing this. You are what makes us go. And I think when you see this documentary, and Status Coup members will get it significantly earlier than the rest of the public, and free. If you're not a member, you'll have to pay something. Most importantly, this is how we create an independent media revolution. Because I got news for you. I am sure, if we had the money to come to your neck of the woods, we could find out corruption just by knocking on some doors. So I hope you love that trailer as much as we love it. I hope you are excited for this documentary. We're not stopping just at the April 23rd release. We're going to submit it to film festivals and all that stuff, but we wanted to get this out early. We wanted to get it out in time for the 5-year anniversary. With that, I'm excited to say Ty, Jenn, and I are also headed back to Flint for the release of this documentary, in addition to the 5-year anniversary, which is on April 25th. I am sure there will be activities in Flint and Michigan for that anniversary, and we will be there to cover it. I pretty much doubt that the national media will do much. That's why we're going to be there, because to me, it is not a normal thing, and we shouldn't normalize an American city 5 years after the fact still not having clean water. So we will be there. Jenn has put together a fundraising page totally separate from GoFundMe, just specifically for this trip. We are trying to raise funds just for this trip. There are some extra costs associated with this trip because it's 3 people as opposed to just Ty and I. And obviously, there's some extra costs that might pop up associated with the documentary. So if you got a couple bucks, we'll put the link right here in the live chat. Any amount helps us, and we really, really appreciate it. If you support actual independent journalism, if you support journalists and Status Coup not forgetting cities like Flint, please help us get there. Please help fund us for this trip. We'll put the link right in the live chat, and any amount makes a big difference. And of course, become a member, statuscoup.com/join. statuscoup.com/join. You'll get the documentary first, free, and more importantly, you will be a part of the media revolution. We currently are 27 members away. Are there 27 people watching right now that want independent journalism bad enough that they're willing to pay $5 to $10 a month for it? I think there are, and I'm a dreamer. Now, from a more positive note to Jeff Bezos and Amazon's destruction of Seattle and America. So we were just in Seattle, if you remember, with your funding to do it. That's the only reason we were able to go to Seattle and cover Amazon's disastrous effects on the city of Seattle. Rent has gone up as high as 70% in the last 5 years. Some estimates have it even higher. Seattle has become a wasteland for homelessness because there is no affordable housing anymore, because there's no rent control, and the city basically bent over for the last basically 2 decades for Jeff Bezos and Amazon. They gave them whatever they want, and essentially Jeff Bezos, what he wanted was a gentrified neighborhood for Amazon workers and other wealthy people. And as I've said when I was in Seattle, and I'll say it again now, I don't hold anything against the workers. I don't have, if you're a coder or tech person or software engineer, it's not your fault. It's Jeff Bezos' fault, and it's the Seattle city government and the state government and the federal government for basically choosing to, fluff Jeff Bezos and Amazon's pillow and forget the working people in cities like Seattle. And it's not just Seattle. You got Portland, San Francisco, LA, many, many other cities that have been really, really screwed by Silicon Valley and people like Jeff Bezos. So for all that, for all of what Seattle did, for all, Seattle, the city council, they were going to do a mild, call it a head tax, which was going to tax Amazon workers $275 a worker to pay towards affordable housing and investing to get homeless people off the streets. Jeff Bezos, whose company Amazon and him created the conditions for a homelessness crisis. And, I have people tweeting me, it's not just Jeff Bezos. No, it is. Yes, there are other factors, but the homelessness did not just explode because, a lemonade stand came into Seattle. It's Amazon. It also, Microsoft played a part in that. So what is Jeff Bezos? Thank you to the city of Seattle, who sold out working people, who sold out lower income people. He's going to take his ball and go somewhere else. Shocking. Exclusive. Amazon moving thousands of employees out of Seattle, relocating key division to nearby city. Amazon plans to relocate its entire Seattle-based worldwide operations team to Bellevue, Washington by 2023, adding thousands of employees to its new campus just across Lake Washington, according to an internal email obtained by GeekWire. Moving a large and critical team away from Seattle's headquarters is a significant relocation of employees on its own, but it's also a weighty symbolic gesture, the clearest sign yet that the tech giant is cooling on its hometown while doubling down on a neighboring city. Quote, I'm excited to share the news that we're planning to migrate worldwide operations to Bellevue starting this year, said Dave Clark, the senior vice president in charge of the team, in an email to his employees. Sources familiar with the plans said several thousand employees will be moving to Bellevue in the years ahead. Amazon confirmed the authenticity of the email. Worldwide operations is one of the most critical teams at Amazon, the arm responsible for getting packages to customers' doors. It oversees more than 175 operating fulfillment centers around the world and the 250,000 employees who work there. The team also manages Amazon's thousands of delivery truck retailers and its fleet of 40 airplanes. New logistics initiatives like Amazon Delivery Service Partners program also fall under the worldwide operations purview. Amazon will start moving employees to Bellevue this month and will finish the migration by 2023. The company currently has 700 employees in Bellevue and more than 45,000 at its Seattle headquarters. It would take some time for Amazon's Bellevue team to grow to a size that rivals Seattle, but moving the worldwide operations team is a big step in that direction. The migration adds weight to the theory that Amazon is shifting its focus to Bellevue and other cities across the country amid ongoing tensions between the tech giant and its longtime hometown. Why would Amazon move one of its most essential teams out of the company's Seattle headquarters? Amazon hasn't yet commented publicly, but there are a few possible reasons. The move allows Amazon to continue tapping the Seattle region's deep talent pool, but lets the company escape some of the friction it's experiencing in its hometown. Oh, such friction, asking you to pay like a penny per worker. $275 a worker to Amazon is not even a penny, it's less than a penny. But you can't ask Jeff Bezos and other billionaire fuckheads, couldn't help myself, demonetized, leave a super chat if you can. Can't allow fuckheads like Jeff Bezos to lift a finger to help starving homeless people. Bellevue was Amazon's original birthplace, but CEO Jeff Bezos moved the company's headquarters to Seattle's urban core early on. He said the goal was to provide the type of urban environment that young, dynamic tech workers thrive in. But fast forward to 2019, and the tech industry's rapid growth has fomented frustration among longtime Seattleites who have whiplash from how quickly the city is changing. Yeah, some of them have whiplash sleeping in tents because they're homeless. That animosity came to a head last year when Seattle officials passed a tax on big businesses like Amazon to fund affordable housing, a pressing issue in the region. The business community balked at the tax, leading the city to repeal it less than a month later. The fight over the so-called head tax became emblematic of Amazon's strained relationship with Seattle. It's unbelievable to me. Let me first show you what Seattle City Council member Shama Sawant said. Capitulating to corporate bullies and billionaires never works. Despite that shameful repeal of the Amazon tax by Seattle's Democrats, she is a socialist, Amazon has announced it's moving jobs anyway. Remember Boeing? We need to build a working class fight back in all cities. You tell them, Shama. Love Shama Sawant. So, let me get this straight. Seattle, which is run by Democrats, is thought to be progressive, essentially so that Jeff Bezos and Amazon will come in, will stay in, will be happy. No taxes on Amazon. Amazon barely pays federal tax. It barely pays city taxes. We're going to deregulate. There's really little regulation. By the way, there's infrastructure that needs to be built for Amazon to be there. I mean, I did an interview there, sewage that needs to be built, other electrical stuff around the city, just for Amazon's headquarters. All of this, not to mention the fact that rent has gone up 70% over the last 5 years, resulting, homelessness is bad in New York City. Homelessness is bad in Portland. Homelessness is bad in San Francisco. Homelessness is bad in LA. Homelessness is bad in Chicago. And on we go. But Seattle, the thing with Seattle, the homelessness is immersed even in the nice neighborhoods. There is no separation. I covered a homeless encampment there. It's literally in the middle of the street right next to beautiful new apartments. So Seattle basically bent over for Jeff Bezos. And then when those politicians got like one inch of courage to say, no, you know what? You are making it so that actual people from Seattle cannot live here. You are making it so working people cannot afford a place to live. You are making it so that over 4,000 children are homeless in Seattle. So we are going to make you pay $275 per employee. And what does Amazon do? It screams and hollers like a kid when you took away their snack. And now they're moving those jobs that Seattle's Democrat City Council and that Democrat mayor and the Democrat governor of Seattle, Jay Inslee, who's running for president, they're taking those jobs away that those people prostituted themselves for. And you know what I'm talking about if you live in Seattle. I want to play a clip from my interview with Shama Sawant. Sorry, mispronounce it sometimes. That I think illustrates the point. Here's Shama during our interview.
The question really goes to the heart of the way the capital system works, which is that you can have a booming economy, and yet that booming economy is going to leave behind the vast majority of people to some measure or another, some worse than the others. And so what you see is a construction boom in Seattle, also a jobs boom in some ways, but it mainly is benefiting a small section of society. And it's not only the billionaires that are benefiting. Obviously, they're taking home the lion's share of the wealth, but you do see tech jobs. And yes, absolutely, we want good quality jobs for ordinary people. We want people to excel in maths and sciences and really explore their talents. The problem, and this is the reason I'm a socialist, is that the problem with capitalism is that jobs are getting created only as a means, only so far as they are a means for ever expanding the profits for a small section at the top. And who are we talking about? Our enemies are not the workers in the tech sector. Our enemies are Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, billionaires like that. In fact, those three billionaires own more wealth than the entire bottom half of the US population. That's the kind of system we're talking about. And so that system is geared to rewarding people who already have immense amounts of wealth. And so Jeff Bezos gets richer every year while the rest of us get poorer every year. So, what you said about developers having the keys to the kingdom, really, I think that's a metaphor for capitalism itself. Capitalism is a productive system, but the only people who have keys to the kingdom are the sliver at the top, and the rest of us have to struggle. And so, as a socialist, I would like us to imagine a different kind of society where the incredible wealth and resources and everything in our society is harnessed to make sure that everybody has a decent standard of living. And short of socialism, let me talk about something that we can do in the here and now. You talked about rent control. Absolutely, Seattle needs rent control without loopholes, corporate loopholes. What Seattle also needs is a massive expansion of social housing, which is publicly funded, affordable housing that will remain affordable to everybody at all times. But that has to be funded by taxing big businesses like Amazon and Macy's and so on. But what would that actually be? That would be a massive jobs program. So let us not be beholden to this only that you can only have jobs if you allow Jeff Bezos to make profit hand over fist. No, there are many examples of how we can create jobs publicly, unionized living wage jobs, where it also benefits society.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list. I gotta say, keeping it real, love Shama Sawant. Not trying to start any friction for her, but we need her in Congress. We need her in D.C. because I think she's fabulous. I really do. I'm a bit of a fanboy for Shama Sawant. So let's be very clear here. Just like the federal government gave fraudulent criminal bankers a get-out-of-jail-free card, and they're now getting record bonuses after taking down the global financial economy, with no strings attached, by the way. Seattle and Washington State and the federal government just have given Amazon whatever the hell they want. No strings attached. And the slightest, whatever you want to call it, economic string, a tax that Jeff Bezos, it would not affect him or Amazon at all in the grand scheme. Amazon is a $1 trillion company. Taxing Amazon and other businesses in Seattle that have led to an epidemic of homelessness and an affordable housing crisis. And it's not just a homelessness, it's all the people living paycheck to paycheck that are one bad month in Seattle and other cities like it away from being homeless. So it's that economic insecurity that is also the crisis there. While Jeff Bezos is buying another yacht, he's making $266 million a day. And that was 6 months ago. I don't know. It might be more now. And it's all a ruse. You ask him to pay his taxes. You ask them to pay towards, to be, whatever they call it, corporate, responsible corporate citizens. And what do? They're taking their ball. They're taking those jobs that you prostituted yourself for. The Democrats in Seattle, the Democratic governor, they're taking their ball and they're going somewhere else. Great for Bellevue. You're going to get the jobs. But they'll do it to you when the jig is up. And when it eventually creates a homeless epidemic in your neck of the woods. So that's why the progressives and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the progressives that fought this in New York City were right. Because Amazon would have done to New York City what it's now doing to Seattle. And that's why Status Coup is so important. This is not a cheesy segue to get you to sign up as a member, but the corporate media treats Jeff Bezos like he's Jesus of Nazareth. Like he is such a brave, special man. Oh, look at his philanthropy. Great. He gives to philanthropy after taking a machete to the working class. I don't give a damn about his philanthropy. Great. You know what? Bill Gates gives to philanthropy. He still owns a toxic waste management company that is responsible for people that I covered in St. Louis having to go outside, little children, and play with masks on because of his waste management landfill that has an underground methane fire near it. His landfill is basically a nuclear waste site next to an underground methane fire. And Bill Gates' company, has refused to move that waste because it would cost them money. Warren Buffett, biggest investor in the Dakota Access Pipeline, never gets talked about in the corporate media. So Jeff Bezos gets away with what he's doing because there's no media that holds him accountable. We will. That's not going to be my first rodeo to Seattle. And it's not going to be, we got to go to San Francisco and cover the homelessness issue. I was in Portland for the Young Turks years ago covering the homelessness issue. But I would love to do a tour of some of these cities that are being decimated by Silicon Valley, by big business, and by, let me be clear, spineless and greedy and corrupt, not Republicans, Democrats. Yes, we could rant about how terrible Donald Trump is. I'm about to tell you how terrible he is in a different story. But Trump isn't responsible for all of this. Democrats are helping usher in, and when you say a tale of two cities, it's a tale of two countries now. StatusCoop.com/join. That's why we were able to go to Seattle in the first place, because of you. And we don't just talk the talk. There's some outlets out there that want your money. They want your money. Become a member, become a this, become a that. We're the best, we're the best. And what do you get? You get all day Russiagate, you get all day Trump, you get his tweets, sensationalism, and bullshit. We are walking the walk. We are getting out there, and we are covering the stories that matter. And I would like to have the funding to stay out in places like Seattle, to do more reporting. From Seattle to Portland to San Francisco to LA to Chicago to Flint to Detroit and onward. Hell, eventually we're going to go international too. But we do it brick by brick. We're building a big house of a media revolution. So statuscoup.com/join. Now, and remember, if you have not pressed the like button on this stream, if you have not pressed that like button, we're going to have a problem. Do it for me. I'm going to probably have to get another back surgery next week. I'll have more of an update on that tomorrow. Still waiting to see a few things. Press the like button. Smash it. This is a super chat. And like I told you before, we do have a fundraiser going to get us to Flint for this documentary. So again, I'll put the link in the live chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lastly, the media is continuing. Even though the Barr summary came out quoting Mueller that there was no collusion, I've said we want the report. I would like to see the report, but they're still covering it 24/7. Meanwhile, a lot of the progressives like myself, Aaron Mate, Glenn Greenwald, I don't know if Michael Tracy would classify himself as a progressive. Michael Tracy, who am I forgetting? Lee Camp, Jamal Thomas, many others. Matt Taibbi have all along been saying, while you focus on the new Cold War, Trump is doing terrible, toxic shit right in the open, and it's getting no coverage. Like blowing off a federal judge is ruling. A federal judge ruled against the Keystone Pipeline. He denied the permit that Trump had granted, and now Trump is just saying, to hell with the federal judge. Laws don't apply. Trump's unprecedented plan to restart the Keystone XL pipeline may be illegal. President Donald Trump ratcheted up the drama over the Keystone XL pipeline Friday when he issued a presidential memorandum to push the oil pipeline through, despite a recent court ruling against it. And opponents plan on taking him back to court over it. After all, his action could set a new precedent for presidential power over such infrastructure if he gets away with it. The Keystone XL pipeline has lost and gained approval over and over again under separate administrations and lawsuits. Most recently, the proposed 1,179-mile-long pipeline from Alberta, Canada to Nebraska was put on pause in November after a federal district court judge concluded the project's environmental impact analysis failed to properly assess its impact on the climate, the impacts of potential oil spills, and more. All issues that need attention under the National Environmental Policy Act, the judge ordered the State Department to redo that analysis. Now, Trump is telling Judge Brian Morris to go screw himself. This new presidential permit is supposed to replace one the president issued just days after taking office in 2017. And the president is asserting that NEPA, the National Environmental Protection Act, doesn't have power over this permit the way it did over the last one. It's clear the White House believes it could go around that earlier executive order. This is where things grow complicated. You see, when Trump issued a federal permit for the pipeline in 2017, he delegated authority over that process to the State Department. That permit sought federal regulatory approval and input from the public and federal agencies. This time around, however, the president is not involving anyone else. The new permit is issued simply, quote, by the authority vested in Trump as President of the United States. This move is unprecedented, said Doug Hayes, a senior attorney with the Sierra Club, who's helping litigate the case. It's pretty clear that this new permit was an attempt to circumvent the court's rulings and the environmental law altogether. This is the first time, at least since 1968, that a president has tried to just avoid all that altogether. But Russia. But Russia. But Russia. To hammer this home, here's my interview with a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, Joy Braun, who is going to be impacted this along with the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. Hey, it's Jordan. I am here with Joy Braun, a member of Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, and you guys have been very busy along with Pine Ridge and other native reservations that have been dealing with really unprecedented type flooding. I want to get to that, but first, it's like this force that never ends. A judge had blocked the Keystone XL pipeline, citing that the Trump administration did not, and the company did not do a formal or thorough environmental review. But now Trump, I don't quite think it's legal, has issued another permit blowing off the judge. Can you kind of talk about the reaction down there among your tribe who's going to be affected by the Keystone pipeline if it ever occurs?
Well, one, the Keystone XL pipeline won't happen no matter what. We will stop it. This isn't Standing Rock. This is Cheyenne River, and we're down no matter what. The permit was ruled illegal in Judge Morris's statement, and it was also ruled that they needed to do a more thorough environmental impact statement study done, and that cultural resources had not been fully identified, and that NEPA, the National Environmental
Protection Act.
Yeah, Protection Act hadn't been followed. So there was a lot of different things that happened with that particular federal judge's ruling. So what I think is that the Trump administration realized that it could not fulfill its promises to the Koch brothers, to TransCanada, and that they would eventually lose this case. So I think that Trump decided, well, I'm just going to do another one then, and then throw them back into court. So the Indigenous Environmental Network and other organizations, we are going to take them back to court. And it doesn't really matter how many times we got to go to court, we'll still do it. What Trump said in this latest permit was a permit to cross the medicine line, so the border between Canada and the United States. and to start construction to the first pump house in Montana. Now, you need to have the Department of State signing off on anything that crosses a United States border, whether that's Canada or Mexico. So this particular, we absolutely believe that this particular that this is illegal, and that we will stop it again.
And it seems to me, obviously, with such delays for Keystone TransCanada, Trump might be doing this because, frankly, I would think investors are going to start pulling out if this thing doesn't start getting built. Do you think that played a part?
I think so. I think that that's definitely a case. TransCanada, or they're changing their name to TC Energy, has its annual meeting coming up this next month up in Canada, and they're going to have to answer to their shareholders. And if you are a shareholder or you know a shareholder of TransCanada or TC Energy, let them know this is not going to get built. We have stopped this pipeline 3 times before, and we will stop it again.
And you mentioned this is not Standing Rock. Obviously, the attention and all the activism and organizing and all that, unfortunately, most of that happened when the pipeline was already halfway built. Whereas now there's been pre-construction, but not, really active construction. So what do people need to know? Because obviously this is the new frontier. We've already seen reports that, the Morton County Sheriff from Standing Rock days has been going around the country giving, guidance to police departments on how to deal with these eco-terrorists, they like to call them. And I know that both in Nebraska and other paths that the Keystone Pipeline can go through, is going through, police departments have definitely built up their stock of weaponry.
Yeah, they have. We have reports from, like, here in South Dakota, from the Highway Patrol and from different counties of the different types of equipment that they have brought in. We have reports that Kyle Kirchmeier told some of the sheriff's departments to arm their children. I mean, can you imagine telling that somebody to arm their kids? We never had guns. If we had guns in Ocheti, that would have been all over the frickin' news, and they would have come in with guns a-blazing on us. So we never had guns. We were always unarmed. But they're definitely ramping up the fear factor, and they don't have anything to fear, because one, the pre-construction has stopped right now. They're not allowed to build their man camps, and they can put pipe on in pipe yards, but only if they have already done cultural surveys on those pipe yards. And the cultural surveys were never done on the pipe yards here in South Dakota, or in Montana, or in Nebraska. The other kind of X factor in all of this is what you mentioned before, is the flooding. A large part of South Dakota, Montana, and a huge part of Nebraska is underwater right now. And the railroads are out. Bridges washed away, like completely washed away. Roads are decimated. You cannot move pipe in Nebraska or South Dakota or Montana right now. You just can't. Everything's flooded, and it's going to take a long time to rebuild those roads. Now, do I think that TransCanada is going to come in and say, hey, we'll give you some money to do this and try to fix the roads? Yeah, I think they will. But I also think that they're going to do a shoddy-ass job of it. And the reason why I say that is because here in South Dakota, TransCanada subcontracted road work to be built on the northwestern side of South Dakota. For one of the man camps up there, and the subcontractors and the subcontractors of those contractors were never paid by TransCanada, and they just those contractors put a lien on the landowners up there in excess over $1 million and just one guy. And 70,000, 80,000 for other landowners. So the landowners up there are getting mad because TransCanada isn't paying their bills.
Right.
So and then the ranchers up there are saying they put the wrong type of gravel on there and the roads weren't graded properly. So some of them have washed out. And they put this gravel in there that's like 1 to 2 inches in width. That's the wrong kind of gravel to use on gravel roads. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do think they'll do a shoddy ass job.
And you said that you and your group. That full interview is up on our YouTube, Status Coup, youtube.com/Status Coup. Thanks to Joy. And why I'm showing you this is I want to see the Mueller report. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. But all these people that think Trump is awful, he's doing things day to day that actually are endangering our planet and, our people and your wallet. Nothing. No media coverage. Why isn't Joy and other Native Americans at Cheyenne River, at Pine Ridge, from Nebraska, and other tribes where this pipeline is going through? This pipeline is going to cover, I believe, go through 700 parts, 700 streams of water, including the Missouri River, where the Dakota Access Pipeline has gone under. To our knowledge, the Dakota Access Pipeline has leaked at least 5 times. But of course, could have leaked more times than that have not been reported, including in the Missouri River. So Trump basically tossing out a federal judge's ruling is, I think, illegal. And hopefully, she did say they're going to, file another lawsuit. But this is what should be getting attention, but isn't. Because it's not sexy. It's not the new Cold War. It's not sensational. It just affects the most vulnerable people in our society. That doesn't sell on CNN or MSNBC, does it? That's it. I'll obviously follow up on Keystone. And that's another thing. We're trying to grow our membership because there's a lot of other pipeline battles out there that I would love to cover in the field. So, you know the drill. statuscoup.com/join. That's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member at $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. We've been getting a couple more new members at the annual, which is really awesome. But of course, any level, we appreciate your support. Keep it coming. I will end today's broadcast. If you missed it, if you came in late, I will end with the trailer to our upcoming first ever documentary, Flushing Flint. And again, if you become a member, you're going to get our documentary free and first. For everybody else, there will be a rental fee or a fee to purchase it on April 23rd. And your members will get it free and early. And of course, Flint residents are going to get it free and early. So we'll make sure if you're a Flint resident, you have access to the documentary early and free. And one last time, if you are so kind, we do have a specific fundraising page now for our trip to Flint. We're headed back there for this documentary and the 5-year anniversary. So we appreciate any amount helps us get there. Ty, Jen, and I. Definitely a little bit more pricey when you're adding in 3 people, but Jen broke this story with me, so she's definitely going to be there. Thank you. We'll put that in the live chat again. And enjoy the trailer. See you tomorrow.
I don't understand why you can't give us the latest testing data and what it shows for the water in Flint. I would think that the governor of Michigan would have those numbers at the top of his mind right now.
I can't get into full details yet, but I might have uncovered some major capital C level corruption here that might prove the numbers they've been using to declare the water safe here in Flint corrupt. Not true.
I'm going around the city checking homes that have been tested for the water.
They just showed up one day and said that they needed to do water testing.
Do you remember if they turned on the water, put the bottle in right away, or did they let it run?
They let it run for a minute.
Turn the water on, let it run for, like I said, like a minute.
Yeah, it was DEQ the first time.
There is no bathing and showering standards.
Turn it on, let it run, and then catch the ball full.
This right here, you're not gonna take my property for the stinking ass water.
So I was hoping I could ask you, because you were on the list for the State Sentinel.